At just 37, he survived multiple assassination attempts, expelled French forces, and formed an alliance that has Western powers deeply concerned. Meet Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the world's youngest head of state, reshaping West Africa and challenging the global order. When Traoré took power in September 2022, most dismissed him as just another military leader. But in 3 years, this geology graduate turned captain has done something unprecedented. United 3 nations against colonial masters, forged partnerships with Russia and China, and sparked a Pan-African movement inspiring millions. Who is Ibrahim Traoré? How did an unknown army captain become the face of African resistance against Western neo-colonialism? Why do France, Britain, and the United States see him as such a threat that they've allegedly orchestrated multiple removal attempts? Today we're exploring the extraordinary story of IB, from rural Burkina Faso to Africa's most influential young leader. We'll examine his radical policies rejecting World Bank loans, his role forming the Alliance of Sahel States, and his controversial Putin partnership that has the West scrambling. Ibrahim Traoré was born March 14, 1988, in Bondokoy, western Burkina Faso. Currently the world's youngest head of state, his path to power was unconventional. After studying geology at the University of Ouagadougou, Traoré joined the army in 2009 at age 21, graduating from Georges Namoano Military Academy. He received anti-aircraft training in Morocco before transferring to an infantry unit in Kaya. What makes Traoré unique isn't just his age, it's his frontline experience. Promoted to lieutenant in 2014, he joined MINUSMA, or MINUSMA, peacekeeping forces in Mali. In 2018, he was cited for showing courage during major rebel attacks. This wasn't a desk commander. Traoré fought in trenches, returning to assist operations against jihadist insurgency. He fought at Djibo in the 2019 Otapuanu offensive and several counter-insurgency operations. By 2020, at age 32, he'd risen to captain, a rank he maintains despite running a country. He's implemented radical reforms, including reversing predecessor salary increases while remaining on military earnings. What shaped Traoré's worldview was witnessing stark inequality between political elites and frontline soldiers. He became disillusioned, seeing widespread equipment shortages while politicians distributed suitcases of money for bribery. Traoré's rise involved 2 military coups, testament to both Burkina Faso's chaos and his determination for change. Traoré supported the January 2022 coup, removing President Roch Marc Kabore, who failed addressing security crises with jihadist groups controlling 40% of the country. Initially supporting Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Santiago Damiba, Traoré was assigned chief of an artillery regiment. But Traoré quickly became disillusioned. Supporters grew dissatisfied with Damiba's inability to contain jihadist insurgency. Traoré later said officers tried getting Damiba to refocus on rebellion, but opted to overthrow him as his ambitions were diverting from what we set out to do. The breaking point came September 2022, after an ambush killing 11 soldiers and dozens of civilians. For Traoré, this proved Damiba was failing the primary mission, justifying the first coup. On September 30th, 2022, Traoré led his second coup in 8 months. A heavily armored convoy drove through cheering crowds as the boyish captain emerged from an armored vehicle turret, sporting fatigues and a red beret, smiling and raising his thumb as onlookers waved Russian flags. Rather than simply seizing power, Traoré moved quickly, building legitimacy. He was elected leader of the patriotic movement for safeguard and restoration, assuming interim president position October 6, 2022. Traoré has implemented radical policies directly challenging Western economic control, representing a fundamental break from decades of dependence on international institutions. He's rejected IMF and World Bank assistance, insisting the country can develop without Western loans and conditionalities. This decision sets him apart from virtually every other African leader. Instead of foreign loans, Traoré focuses on harnessing natural resources. He's nationalized 2 gold mines and stopped exporting unrefined gold to Europe, inaugurating a national refinery expected to process 150 tons annually. Resource nationalism extends beyond gold. His government disallowed foreign farmland ownership, reportedly nationalizing all rural land this February, limiting private urban real estate ownership to prevent land grabbing. Traoré has prioritized military capability, understanding security is fundamental to independence. Achievements include doubling military spending, creating rapid support forces, and increased drone and helicopter use in offensives. The government implemented innovative defense funding, including 5% taxes on phone and internet bills and 10% on television subscriptions in July 2023. Infrastructure development includes establishing the National Support Center for Artisanal Cotton Processing, building Ouagadougou Dossen Airport, and considerable agricultural investment. Farmers receive tractors and fertilizers to increase output. If you're fascinated by how one African leader is challenging the global order, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Tell us in the comments, do you think Ibrahim Traoré represents hope for Africa's future? Or is his approach too radical? Traoré's most significant achievement has been forging the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, fundamentally challenging Western influence in West Africa. The Confederation of Sahel States, formed between Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, originating as a mutual defense pact created September 16, 2023, following the Nigerian crisis, when Niger's military removed President Mohamed Bazoum in July 2023. ECOWAS, or ECOWAS, threatened military intervention. The 3 rulers pledged supporting each other against outside threats and international security challenges. In July 2024, leaders signed a confederation treaty strengthening the Mutual Defense Pact with a 25-point communiqué. The AES goes beyond military cooperation, promoting economic development through energy, infrastructure, transport, and food security projects. Economic integration is ambitious. Proposals include a common central bank and new currency replacing the CFA franc, striking at France's economic control over former colonies. On January 29, 2025, all 3 countries formally withdrew from ECOWAS after providing required 1-year notice. Practical benefits include abolished roaming charges and joint biometric passports for citizens. Traoré's relationship with Russia represents the most significant geopolitical realignment in West Africa since independence, directly challenging French dominance. Putin met with Traoré in the Kremlin in May 2025 during the 80th anniversary of victory celebrations. This wasn't ceremonial. It represented fundamental partnership shifts. The terrorism we are witnessing today comes from imperialism, and we are fighting it Traoré told Putin. The Russian president assured him, "We are united by a common goal of fighting terrorism and extremism." Partnership extends beyond security. Traoré requested Russian help educating young people and teaching science to develop production, industry, and engineering capabilities. Russia appreciates close coordination with the Burkina Faso in international arenas, including the UN. Consultations between Russia and the Confederation of Sahel States have become valuable cooperation formats. This partnership provides alternatives to Western military support, offers technological cooperation, and signals Burkina Faso will no longer be bound by colonial-era relationships. Since taking power, Traoré has faced unprecedented coup attempts and assassination plots, which his government links to foreign interference. In April 2024, military authorities announced dismantling a major plot aimed at promoting a coup and sowing total chaos. Security Minister Mahamadou Sana stated coup leaders were allegedly based in Côte d'Ivoire, whose government allies with French interests. The sophistication is alarming. An accused high-ranking official reportedly confessed to accepting 25 billion CFA francs, aka 41 million USD, and arms shipments allegedly facilitated through Côte d'Ivoire with French involvement. The plot was identified after intercepting messages between a Burkina Faso military officer and terrorist group heads discussing defense positions and military operations. This isn't the first attempt. In 2024, Traoré claimed existence of a destabilization operations center based in Abidjan. In January 2024, the government thwarted another planned coup set for January 14. Western responses have been increasingly hostile. General Michael Langley, head of U.S. military in Africa, accused Traoré of threatening American interests during congressional hearings, but these attacks have strengthened Traoré's domestic position. Thousands rallied in Ouagadougou, supporting the military junta after alleged coup attempts and American criticism. Traoré's success implications extend beyond Burkina Faso's borders, potentially reshaping the continent's world relationships. ISS African Futures studies how Burkina Faso's economy can grow at 8% average from 2025 to 2043, translating into additional GDP per capita of $1,120 above business-as-usual forecasts, reducing income poverty to 2.6%. Like many African countries, Burkina Faso has natural resources that, if properly managed, could transform citizens' lives. The country produces substantial quantities of gold, zinc, copper, manganese, phosphate, and limestone. AES' success could inspire similar movements across Africa. His anti-colonial stance speaks to generations disillusioned by neoliberal promises and post-independence elites. This political movement is fueled by feelings that Africa has been taken advantage of by foreign powers too long. There's an upsurge in resource nationalism and desire to regain sovereignty and develop from within. But challenges remain immense. Over 60% of Burkina Faso's remains outside state control. Over 2 million people are displaced, and security forces face serious abuse allegations. Ibrahim Traoré's story is far from over. At age 37, he has fundamentally altered West Africa's geopolitical landscape, challenged the global financial system, and inspired new generations of African leaders refusing to accept the status quo. Whether you see him as Africa's liberator or dangerous authoritarian, one thing is undeniable. Traoré represents a seismic shift in how African nations engage with the world. His rejection of Western loans, resource nationalization, and Russia partnership aren't just policy choices, they're declarations of independence from centuries of colonial control. The Alliance of Sahel States proves small nations can unite challenging global powers. Economic growth projections suggest resource nationalism can work when properly implemented. Passionate support from young Africans demonstrates hunger for leaders prioritizing African interests over foreign approval. But Traore's greatest test lies ahead. Can he deliver security and prosperity while maintaining independence from both Western and Eastern powers? Can the AES become a model for African integration, or will divisions and external pressure tear it apart? These answers will determine not just Burkina Faso's future, but whether Africa can truly chart its own course in the 21st century. Ibrahim Traoré may lead a small, landlocked country, but his vision has continental implications. If this deep dive opened your eyes to changing global politics dynamics, share it with someone who cares about Africa's future. Hit subscribe for more investigations into leaders and movements shaping our world. The Sahel Revolution is just beginning.